I always say this. Members of Congress, like Rick and myself and others who pursue good policy, it naturally makes for good politics. Listen, this is an issue, I'll tell you, is a 100% issue at home. Should we abandon it simply because we're in the middle of an election, or should we press forward because the American people are craving for this? We've never poll tested this topic. But I'll tell you, and Rick's had many more town halls than I do, it is fascinating. You talk about congressional reforms and campaign finance reform in a town hall or in a civic meeting, it doesn't matter the group. The response is 100%. The American people get the STOP Act. You know what else they get? Virginia Fox and I have a bill to put members of Congress on the Do Not Call registry. That gets 100% affirmation. I often talk about the British model of taking political ads off of television. That gets 100% response at home. Good policies do make for good politics, but the focus is on driving the good policy. The politics will take care of itself.
While you're up here, let me follow up at this. You seem to be making a distinction that's interesting between congressional reform and campaign finance reform. You think of this as congressional reform and not campaign finance reform. Tell me a little more about the difference you're trying to make between those.
Because I want to get it done. I want to focus in that one of the great political scandals of our time is the amount of time your members of Congress are spending raising money and not doing their job. And understand, not even in their office, because it's illegal to raise money in your congressional office. They're not even there because of the pressures to raise money. They're outside of their office. So I'm focusing in on the congressional reform, much like you saw 5 or 6 years ago, the Stock Act was a congressional reform. Members of Congress who allegedly or potentially were trading on inside information. That was a congressional reform. I call this congressional reform because it is focusing in on what I think is a scandal within the Congress, which is the amount of time members of Congress are shirking from doing their day job. That is not to shy away from campaign finance reform. I would be open to working on a bipartisan campaign finance reform package that balances the constitutional privileges of anybody to participate in an election with reasonable restrictions.